Hello, everybody, and welcome to VOW Live here on Wednesday afternoon, 3 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, where I am. We are live right now on the VOW YouTube channel. You can subscribe for free, VOW. Go search on YouTube for Voices of Wrestling, or just go to voicesofwrestling.com/YouTube. A lot of different stuff you can do. We are live here with open phone lines. The Skype line is open if you want to call via Skype. Let's say things, all one word. The phone lines are open if you want to call in via the phone. The number is on the screen, 260-494-3811. Some of the potential topics, if anyone would like to chime in, you can also chime in via Twitter, @ShakeThemRopes. I am monitoring the Twitter feed, @ShakeThemRopes. You can call in about the Cruiserweight Classic. The Cruiserweight Classic begins tonight. What are your predictions? Who do you think is going to be in the Final Four? Who do you think is going to win? The G1 Climax starts in just a couple of days, early next week, the 18th. So we can call in about the G1 Climax and who you might feel is going to win that one, or at least win in each of the blocks. So the phone lines will be open. This is not going to be a very long show, so don't think that you have an hour to call in. I know we got people on the Twitter machine saying, some of us have to work. Why are you doing this now? Some of us have to work. Well, as you saw last week when we did this, we got some calls from overseas, which was really cool. A little bit later in the day over there in the UK and in Belgium, if you will. And some people might be on lunch there on the West Coast. If you're on lunch on the West Coast and you want to check this out, that would be great too. And we might even break a little news today on this very show. Might. It's actually news that I broke on the Twitter feed a couple of weeks ago, but no one's paying attention. So start paying attention, I say. But we're going to talk about this G1, the Cruiserweight Classic. The Cruiserweight Classic's a big one. The Cruiserweight Classic, obviously, is debuting tonight. A big deal amongst, though, it's international. It's an international event here at WWE. For those chiming in the YouTube chat, the chat room is open as well. So you can get in there to the chat room. There's a few people in there right now, which is pretty cool. For those who are watching on the YouTube page, go ahead and hit that thumbs up like button. That would be great. After this video, if you're not watching live, go ahead and leave a comment. Cody on the chat room says, so ready for NXT and the Cruiserweight Classic tonight. Callum says, hi, Rob. Hi, everybody. Hi, everybody out there. Hi, everybody. I should get on my Twitter feed, too, just to make sure that we get all of that checked out. If people want to give questions, I got some questions. We got, let's see here, if I can get the questions. Well, you know what? We got one question. What news? What news are you going to break? Callum asks on the Twitter feed, what news can Rob McCarron possibly break on this? And if you've been paying attention to the Twitter feed @ShakeThemRopes, you have already heard this. If you are watching the Cruiserweight Classic, you know that one of the participants in the Cruiserweight Classic is Johnny Gargano, who is not signed currently to WWE more than just a guy who comes in and works some of their events, but he's not full-time at the Performance Center and so forth. And we will get, what a tease. We're going to get to the Johnny Gargano news in just a moment, but we do have a caller on the line. 324, where are you calling from and your name? I have a feeling. Caller, are you there?
You hear me?
I can hear you. What's your name?
Okay. Hey, it's Ludovic. I called last time from Belgium.
That's right. It is our caller from Belgium. How are you doing today?
I'm fine. Actually, I'm French, but I'm calling from Belgium, to be fair. But
okay.
Just wanted to talk about Cruiserweight Classic.
Yeah, absolutely. It begins tonight. Hot topic. What are you most looking forward to about this Cruiserweight Classic?
First of all, I'm happy because last time I said that the Final Four would be Tozawa, Ibushi, Zack Sabre Jr., and either Gargano or Swan. And probably will be just like that. Probably.
It can happen. It can happen, absolutely. With the way we saw last week, the brackets getting released, so I think you're safe in all of those predictions. That all of that can come true.
But you will get next round, I think, Cedric Alexander against Kota Ibushi. That will be probably great.
Yeah, they actually gave us a lot of interesting, intriguing second round matchups too.
Yes.
They're not saving everything for the Final Four, the Final Eight. There's a lot of good second round matches coming up.
Yes, indeed. And normally tonight, I think you'll get my fellow Frenchman, Clément Petiot, that is known on the internet under the alias Tristan Archer.
Mm-hmm.
And everybody will see because he almost never wrestled in the United States, but he's really good. He's really, really good. And he's against Cedric Alexander, actually.
Yes, I think the next couple of weeks, as people get to see some of these guys they've, before the Cruiserweight Classic, they never heard of, or some of these guys that they don't really have a chance to see very often. It's going to be a fun couple of weeks of TV, not just to see names that, it's kind of surreal that they're even in WWE, but to see names that they're going to know from now on and actually follow, or maybe go see at different events. So very cool for that.
Very cool.
Are you going to be watching? You're in Belgium right now. Are you going to be watching this thing live?
Oh, it's difficult because I think it's going to be around 5 o'clock or something, 5 o'clock a.m. 5 a.m. But I think it's NXT at 5 and Cruiserweight Classic at 6. So I probably work from home and check that out while having breakfast. I'm planning on catching it live because last time when I woke up it was a bracketology, so I think I will try to watch it live.
Oh, very
tomorrow
good.
Is big. I mean, tomorrow is big because you also have Ultima Luchados and NXT because it's going to be Nakamura against Finn Balor. So it's a big tomorrow for us in Europe and tonight for you in the United States.
Oh, absolutely. No, yeah, tonight is a huge wrestling day. You have Lucha Underground. This kind of gets us back to the real Wednesday Night War theme that we saw last year when Lucha Underground was getting going. At least here in the United States.
It was crazy.
It's absolutely insane, and every show you want to see, and they're all happening at the same time.
And next week, I think, next week is no, because Impact move on Thursday.
Yeah, Impact
not the same.
Impact is moving to Thursday. Impact is, it's not the same where everything is on Wednesday, but some good stuff here tonight. I want to thank you so much again for calling in all the way from Belgium.
Yeah, thank you very much for taking my call, and have a nice day here right there in the United States.
That's right. Thank you so much. Always appreciate the international calls. Really cool because people are watching at all different hours. That's the really cool thing that we got this going on. We have someone in the comments. Callum is on the Twitter feed at Shake Them Ropes talking about Chaotic Wrestling. Chaotic Wrestling announced that Austin Aries will be appearing for them, and he's wondering if Austin Aries' WWE contract really allows that. And hey, if he's going to be there, he's going to be there. There's some different things going on with these NXT contracts, as we'll get to with Johnny Gargano in just a moment. But we have a phone caller on the line, 617 area code, 617, your name and where you're calling from.
Hey, Rob, I'm Will from Boston. How are you?
Hi, Will. I'm doing great. How are you doing in Boston?
I'm very good. So I'm going to give you my final four for the Cruiserweight Classic. I have Kota Ibushi and Johnny Gargano, and then I have Zack Sabre and Akira Tozawa. And then the finals, I think it's going to be Zack Sabre versus Kota Ibushi, and I have Zack Sabre win the whole thing.
Zack Sabre beating Kota Ibushi in the finals. Very interesting. I think you're not alone in thinking that Kota Ibushi is going to go very far in this thing. Kota Ibushi, though, is the one hang-up I have. Everyone knows he's great. Everyone's going to get a chance to see how great he is during this tournament. But do you think there's anything to the point that if Kota Ibushi is not going to be with WWE, maybe they want to give someone who actually might be with them after this Cruiserweight Classic a big win over Kota Ibushi? Maybe a Johnny Gargano, maybe a Cedric Alexander, maybe even a Brian Kendrick for all I know. Are you worried that Kota Ibushi in the in the finals may not be 100% for sure?
I'm not too worried because if he doesn't make it, someone else great would replace him. So it's not a big worry of mine.
Yeah, there are some good names in that half of the bracket for sure.
Yeah, Johnny Gargano could beat him, and then, I still stand that Zack Sabre is going to win the whole thing. So it doesn't really matter who's facing him. It will be someone great, and we're going to have some great matches throughout this tournament.
Is that the match that you're most looking forward to seeing? Like, is that a final that you absolutely want to happen, or is that a final that you think is going to happen, or maybe it's both?
It's both. I love the match, and I think it's going to happen.
All right. Well, Will from Boston, I want to appreciate, or I appreciate you for calling in. I want to thank you so much for calling in with your thoughts there on the Cruiserweight Classic coming up. That's the one thing. Jeff Hawkins and I will give our full predictions for the Final Four and the finals on this week's Shake Them Ropes, which is actually going to come out after the Cruiserweight Classic and NXT tonight, because all the cool things in WWE this week are happening tonight. They're happening on Wednesday. So we are going to give our predictions tonight on Shake Them Ropes. So if you were looking on your Twitter feeds, if you're looking on your RSS feeds, and you weren't able to see a new Shake Them Ropes this week, it is coming. It is coming after tonight, after tonight's WWE shows. A lot of stuff to talk about, really, and most of it's coming from this Wednesday. All right, we have another caller coming on the line, so let me see if I can get him on here. Caller, you are on. Yes, your name and where are you calling from?
My name is Guillermo. I call from Chile.
Hi, Guillermo from Chile. Oh, wow. Another caller from a little bit farther than I would have expected. How are you doing today in Chile?
Yeah, it's fine. A little mini hurricane here.
Oh, no.
It's like a lot of wind, but nothing too serious.
Okay, well that's good. As long as you're safe down there, you're in the middle of a mini hurricane, and yet we're talking about the Cruiserweight Classic and whatnot. What did you want to call in and talk about today on this special live show?
Let's say Cruiserweight Classic is the thing that all people are talking about.
Oh yeah, this Cruiserweight Classic coming on tonight. It's a pretty hot topic. What are you most looking forward to on it?
You can say that you and Jeff have the finalist that you want, but do you think that some, let's say, Brian Kendrick will be in the finals, per se?
I wouldn't expect Brian Kendrick to be in the finals, but I think especially in that part of the bracket where a lot of people I'm seeing are picking Kota Ibushi, I think a Cedric Alexander or even a Brian Kendrick can squeak out to the Final Four from that part of the bracket. I really do. I don't think Kota Ibushi is going to the Final Four myself. As a little preview for tonight's Shake Them Ropes, I don't think Kota Ibushi is going to the Final Four. So
Kota Ibushi was filtered that him have a contract because he will be in the Final Four.
If he,
or something like that.
If he gets to the Final Four, it's possible that they will have signed him at that point. But if they haven't signed him, I don't think he's getting the Final Four. I think there's other people that they can put in there. Now, especially if Akira Tozawa goes far. This whole deal is international. If Akira Tozawa goes far, maybe they're more interested and think they can actually get him signed. He might be a Japanese representative in the Final Four. And you can eliminate Kota Ibushi, and maybe another nationality is represented if they want to truly still go with the Final Four of all being from different nationalities. There's a lot of different ways they can go. I just don't. I know Kota Ibushi's great, and there are dream matches within this tournament for him on the WWE stage. I just don't feel personally that Kota Ibushi is going to go. Maybe he hits the Final Four, but I don't think the finals are happening for him. What is your dream main event? What final match do you want to see out of this?
I think Zack Sabre with Kota Ibushi will be a very good. Oh, Tozawa. Tozawa is a great wrestler.
Yep.
And he had the Nakamura connection with the people.
Yeah, absolutely.
He has a lot of charisma and good face expression and the screaming. The screaming will get him more in the.
No,
when he wrestling, he starts scream, and
yep.
That's the thing that he does in PWG. But let's say he can do that here, and will get over pretty quickly.
I'm with you. I think there are certain guys in this tournament that are really going to open up some eyes where, a lot of eyeballs might be on Zack Sabre or Kota Ibushi. A guy like Tozawa, honestly, the Bollywood boys might really open up some eyes too. There's not a lot of recognition for those guys here in the States other than from their Global Force Wrestling run. But I think those two guys have enough to where they can potentially gain some fan base out of this.
Well, I think, do you think that with all the Japanese stars that WWE will have, Tozawa, Ibushi, Nakamura, Kenta, Asuka, they will do a stable?
I don't,
Without
well,
that?
because one, I don't think Kota Ibushi's actually going to get signed and stay in WWE. I just don't think that's what he wants to do. I think
Let's
coming here was a cool
say
experience.
3 or 4 Japanese people.
Yes.
3 or 4.
Well, I think they would, if they were all on the main roster, they would be tempted to do that. However, I don't think that's going to happen. I don't see that because right now, even in NXT, you have, we haven't seen what Hideo Itami is going to do when he comes back, but I doubt they're going to align him with Shinsuke Nakamura, and I doubt they'll align him with Asuka. So I think them keeping them all separate and not doing that type of stable is probably the best idea, but I also think that's what's going to happen. I don't really expect a stable of the same nationality.
Okay.
All righty,
Well,
Guillermo.
that's all.
Absolutely. Thank you so
you.
much for calling in all the way from Chile on the Skype line. We got one more call coming in. Caller, your name and where you're calling from.
Hey, this is Danny from Philly here.
Hi, Danny. How are you today? What's on your mind?
Good. I agree with your sentiment that Kota Ibushi is not making the finals.
Yeah, I just don't think it's going to happen. I think a lot of people expect it. I think a lot of people want it to happen, and I'm not saying I don't want it to happen. But Kota Ibushi is one of those outliers where just having him in the tournament, I think, was the goal for WWE. But him having to go, because he can still be on the final show. September 14th,
Right.
their live finale. He can be in some type of showcase match or even a 6-man or a tag team match. He does not have to be in the finals to be on that show. I'm with you, Danny. I don't think Kota Ibushi's going far. But who would you have coming, if he's not in the finals, who's going to be in the finals from that side?
It's either Cedric or Gargano.
All righty. Yep. I like one of those picks.
Because you see the second round matchups, Kota Ibushi versus Cedric Alexander,
Yep.
and sorry, I'm in a dentist's office. There's little kids in a playground. That's the background noise. But
What do
you
they
see
all
Ced-
think of the Cruiserweight Classic? Never mind. Don't ask them.
Probably they don't care. They care about John Cena.
Okay. Well, John Cena's not in the Cruiserweight Classic, so tell those kids, hey, shut up. There's no John Cena in the Cruiserweight Classic. Tell them to go watch ESPN or ABC tonight. The Cruiserweight Classic is an interesting point. You talk about Johnny Gargano being in the final. Here's one of the reasons why I think Johnny Gargano was a very heavy favorite to go in the finals for my end. September 11th in Queens, New York, the Johnny Gargano farewell show for Evolve Wrestling. Johnny Gargano is leaving the Indies. He is signing full-time with WWE, and his final show in Evolve is September 11th in Queens, New York.
That could be a final show for a lot of people in Evolve.
It could be, I don't know about Tommaso Ciampa or other guys, but Johnny Gargano is ending his time in Evolve on September 11th. I don't know if they've announced that show yet. We reported it on our Twitter feed just a couple of weeks ago, and here I'm saying it again. September 11th, Johnny Gargano, his final night in Evolve. So if you're in the Queens, New York area, get tickets to that show. But that's one of the reasons why I think he's going to be a heavy favorite to go far in WWE, because he's going to be a WWE personality after this Cruiserweight Classic is all over.
On the left side of the bracket, I do see Noam Dar making at least the semifinals.
Absolutely. Noam Dar making the semifinals. I want to thank you so much, Danny, for calling in. We're going to take one last call here. 972 area code 972, your name and where you're calling from.
Hey, Rob, it's Danny from Dallas, Danny H.
Danny H from Dallas. 2 Dannys in a row. Danny, how are you doing today?
Great. I'm doing great. And yourself?
I'm doing pretty well. I'm getting excited for these big Wednesday night shows. You have Ultima Lucha going on, Lucha Underground. You have NXT. You have the Cruiserweight Classic starting up tonight. It's a big Wednesday. One of the biggest Wednesdays we've had in a while for pro wrestling.
Oh, yeah. And I'm watching the stream here. So you got a pretty nice hat on. I wonder if that's the one you're going to eat.
I got 2 hats on. I went crazy with the hats because you know what? I got to show them some love because one of them might be dead here in September and eaten by myself. So I got to show my hat some love before it's too late. You know what I mean?
That's right. Anyways, I'll talk about, so there was like a release today. I mean, W statement that they're going to have like a pre and post show for next week's live SmackDown. And then they're also going to be doing like a comparison show between Raw and SmackDown. I think that's a pretty good idea. You know, if they really want to keep the show separate, they can have a show like which show was better. But I don't know. What do you think about their idea of having like a comparison show on the network?
I like the idea of a recap show where they go, over the best of both shows. I don't think you're going to get WWE calling one of their shows worse than the others. So I don't think you're going to get a recap show where which show was worse or which show was better necessarily. They might highlight the best things about each show as just like a brand recap type of thing, like a Sports Center, if you will. I like the idea of that, doing something exclusive for the network. So that way you can watch Raw, you can watch SmackDown. Maybe if you missed one of the shows, you can go onto the WWE network, and instead of having to watch all SmackDown on Hulu, give WWE the attention. Go to their network and watch that show. So I like the idea of doing some type of comparison show. I don't know if you want to get into calling one show better than the other, but a comparison is a nice idea. What would be really surreal, Danny, is if we saw Vince McMahon on Raw talking about how he wants Shane and Stephanie to compete in ratings. What would be crazy is if we get something to where they talk about the ratings of each show and compare them that way. That would be pretty surreal.
Well, maybe they do they always put the polls out on their Twitter, like, which did you enjoy the show? Thumbs up, thumbs down. Maybe they compare those as ratings.
Yeah.
Whatever.
In some way, I think we could possibly see something happen in that regard. Yes, but that's very interesting. As far as let's talk about these separate brands. Do you have an idea? Do you have a want for who should be the Raw general manager and who should be the SmackDown general manager? Are there names that you have in your mind that you think might be possible?
Well, the big fan theory is because Eric Bischoff might come back, but that's like a wild fan theory. But I think Sting and Daniel Bryan are probably the pretty good options for one of each because they're still under contract, but they're both injured or retired because of injury. And then Dave Meltzer had come up with maybe Brian Alvarez next week on Monday they're gonna announce their picks, and then this is McMahon's going to switch them. Like say Shane has Daniel Bryan, and then say Stephanie picks Triple H. Mm-hmm. Then Vince going to switch them, so it'll be bickering between heels and face, commissioner and GM. So
that would be an interesting theory if each person picks someone and Vince says, you know what, I like those picks, but we're gonna flip them up. We're gonna switch them out. So you get Steph's pick, you get Shane's pick. Danny, I want to thank you so much for the call. I'm surprised by the number of calls. This is great on a 3 p.m. So I want to thank you so much for calling in, Danny.
Go Rangers. Yeah.
All right, go Rangers. Go Rangers. We had a couple of calls who were going through. I can only answer one at a time. I want to thank everyone who's called in. This is pretty good response for a last minute deal on a Wednesday. If you have been trying to call in and haven't gotten in, the phones are open right now. So go ahead and try it again, and we'll try to get everyone in because there's more topics. I wanted to only go 20 minutes, and we've only gotten into one topic so far. So we'll see. We got some phone calls hopefully coming in here, but we talked about the Cruiserweight Classic. Again, Jeff and myself will give our full predictions for the Cruiserweight Classic on this week's Shake Them Ropes. We'll be up around midnight tonight Eastern. So for those who are asleep by then, in the morning, you should catch a new Shake Them Ropes in your audio feeds. Let's go to some of the comments. Sean on the chat room says Raw will be Rollins and Reigns. SmackDown will be Cena and Ambrose. Those are the top 4 stars. I'm going to talk with Jeff on Shake Them Ropes this week about where we think some of these guys are going to go, because I certainly feel Ambrose is going to get split up from Rollins and Reigns. Everything that's being announced for Battleground as well as Raw next week, it makes the most sense that Dean Ambrose is going to be the one split up. All righty, we go to the phone lines again. We have 617 area code. 617, your name and where are you calling from?
Hey, it's Will again from Boston.
Will from Boston again. What's up?
I was just wondering, what match are you looking forward to in Ultima Lucha?
Will from Boston, thank you for calling. Ultima Lucha, I have no idea what's happening in Lucha Underground. I really don't. 916 area code, 916, your name and where you're calling from.
My name is Robert. I'm calling from Sacramento, California.
Hi, Robert from Sacramento, California. Robert, what is on your mind today?
I would just like to talk about any topics you guys got open. Cruiserweight Classic, anything. Moose, whatever's going on.
Moose is in TNA. He debuted yesterday on the show. He attacks Bobby Lashley, so it looks like he's getting a main event push. But we can talk Cruiserweight Classic. The Cruiserweight Classic comes up today. What is the match that you want to most see happen in this Cruiserweight Classic?
Oh, I think my prediction, I think it's going to come down to in the finals, I'd say Cedric Alexander and Zack Sabre Jr.
Interesting. Cedric is a nice one. I like the pick of Cedric in the finals. Not a lot of people going that way, but Zack Sabre, I think, seems to be the odds-on favorite to not only make the finals from his half, but a lot of people, I think, picking him to win. Do you have Zack Sabre Jr. winning the Cruiserweight Classic?
Oh man, I want to say yes, but Cedric, I think they invested in Cedric. I think he's invested in them by dropping that 20 pounds of weight.
That's a good point too. He really did make the effort to really fit in there and not only just go for this tournament, but I think he wants to open some eyes there in WWE.
Yeah,
so that's a really good point. That is a. Go ahead.
I'm sorry about that. No, you go ahead.
Oh no, I'm just saying that's an excellent point you bring up, because I don't think a lot of people are looking behind just what's given to them on television. And the same thing why a lot of people are picking Kota Ibushi to win. In my mind, people are picking Kota Ibushi because they know how great he is. But you also have to look at, this guy's probably not sticking around. He probably doesn't want to stick around. So
exactly. That's why I'm kind of iffy on Zack Sabre Jr. because I know he's got a couple other things going on, holding a couple titles in other places. So I know if he took it, it'd probably be a while before we saw him back in WWE.
It would probably be a while if we and maybe all he needs is a month to drop titles can be dropped. That's no big deal. But I want to thank you so much. We got other calls coming in, so I want to try to get to as many as possible. Robert, I want to thank you so much for calling in today.
Thank you very much, man. You're awesome. You have a great day.
All right. We go to our next caller. This one's been trying to get in for a while, so thankfully we were able to get him in. 702, your name and where you're calling from.
I'm Anthony in San Francisco.
Anthony from San Francisco. A couple of California calls coming back to back. Must be lunch hour out there. How are you doing?
Man, I'm doing all right, man.
What's on your mind today?
Man, I just wanted to know, who do you think is going to win the Battle of Los Angeles tournament?
The Battle of Los Angeles. This is a hot topic, too. There's so many tournaments coming up. The Battle of Los Angeles announced their full 24-man roster for this tournament, and it's got to be one of maybe even their best ever, just as far as the pool of talent that's available, the international flavor for this. I just have no idea, because it's a month and a half away. Who's going to even be in WWE a month and a half from now? Who's going to be on the Indies a month and a half from now? I like the idea of, I like the idea of Cody Rhodes winning. I really do.
I do too. I think Will Ospreay's going to win it, man. It's his year, man. He just won the Super Junior tournament. I think it's Will Ospreay's year, and I think he'll go to the WWE shortly.
Yeah, and the reason why I say I like the idea of Cody Rhodes winning it is because if he's going to stay on the Indies and be a regular, he could very well be a regular for PWG, and that could be a pretty big deal. I don't know how the fans there would react to it. Obviously, if he has a poor night one showing, they're going to turn on him really quickly, I really feel like. But I don't know. There's just so many names, but it seems like such an all-star lineup.
Do you think that this tournament will be better than the Cruiserweight Classic, just match-wise, just match for match?
Match for match, yes. And I don't even know if that's a fair comparison, honestly, because the Cruiserweight Classic is its thing. It's WWE's celebration of the international flavor. That's what the Cruiserweight Classic really is. You will have really good matches. You will have really good matches and some interesting matches, but you look at what the first round of Bola is going to be. Every single match is going to be an all-star match and a best match of the night, whereas the Cruiserweight Classic really isn't setting out to do anything quite like that. I like the Will Ospreay pick. I think Matt Riddle is an interesting combatant inside of this tournament, honestly, too. There are a lot of them. I really want to see how well Kama Itachi does.
Matt Sydal, too.
Matt Sydal. It's an all-star lineup. It's one of their biggest all-star lineups. I will say the one name that I'm almost sure is not going to win is Jeff Cobb. Yeah. And maybe Jushin Thunder Liger.
Ricochet might win it, too. Ricochet's in it.
There's
so
a ton.
He might win it.
Zack Sabre Jr. is going to be in the Cruiserweight Classic and then in Bola. I mean, maybe he wins them both.
Yeah. Oh, one more question, bro. Am I the only one who has mixed feelings about this Brock Lesnar-Orton match? Because I kind of don't want either one of them to lose. Like, they're kind of like in a position where I don't want Orton to come back and lose. I think that would kind of weaken, his comeback, and I don't want Lesnar to lose fresh off that UFC 200 win. So I have mixed feelings about the match.
I think it weakens the Orton comeback. That's part of the reason why I'm so confused why the match is even taking place. Like, is it a dream match for me? Yes, but I don't get why it's taking place here. I wonder if they actually thought Brock Lesnar might lose his fight.
Yeah, probably. Probably.
This match screams to me that they thought he was going to lose his fight. And this.
I think they should probably have Orton probably low blow him or do something where Orton will be a heel, walk out of it as a heel, and probably RKO Paul Heyman or do something like that, something interesting. You know, I don't want to just see Lesnar F5 him and win. Like, that would kill Orton. Like, that kills all Orton's credibility.
No, you're absolutely right. It's a very interesting match. We'll see how they play it. I don't think Brock Lesnar is going to lose now. And then what do you do with Randy Orton? And
Right.
it's very interesting that it would come back unless hey, maybe Randy Orton's going to come back only for a short period of time too. We can do the Battleground thing, do SummerSlam, then maybe he's gone for a couple of months.
I just think he should come back with like this new persona, just come back as like a badass heel and just start kicking everybody's ass and just, punting people in the head. I know with the concussion thing, they're kind of, iffy about that, but I think like that was like the best Orton when he was just like punting Stephanie McMahon and Shane. I think that was like the best Randy Orton character, as a badass heel. So I think that Randy Orton, I could probably see beating Lesnar. I think they should book it that way and have Lesnar be kind of the face. Because let's be honest, Lesnar's not a heel. He's really a baby face if you think about it.
People, the people like to see him, and they want to see him beat people up too. Is the big thing,
right?
They want to see
so
that
he's a baby face. So
right.
have Orton be the badass heel. It's a first ever match for the both of them.
Right.
I think I would rather see Batista versus Lesnar just from the physical aspect of it.
Batista versus Lesnar would be really interesting. I want to thank you so much for the call. We have another one coming in, so thank you for the call there. We go to 419 area code 419. Your name and where you're calling from.
Dominic Bachrath.
Go ahead and turn your sound in the background down there if you could for me. What was your name?
Dominic Bachrath.
Dominic, how are you today? What's on your mind?
For the Cruiserweight Classic, do you think Damian Slater's going to get anywhere in it?
I don't. There's some interesting names who are not like big independent names, but I think what they're doing with this tournament is they may make one or two new guys, but I don't think Damian Slater's going to be one of those two new guys. If he is, that'd be a pretty big surprise, and maybe they can go somewhere with it. That it's certainly a name that looks impressive. I just don't see it happening this time.
Okay, that's all I had to ask.
All right. Thank you so much. Big Damian Slater fan out there. Very interesting. I really want to see who the one or two names are going to be to where, those in the independent bubble who may not know everybody, but know the big names, who's going to be the surprise? Who's going to be the new name? I want to thank everyone for calling in. I got to, we got to one topic. We're not going to talk G1 Climax. It seemed like based on the phone calls, the big topic today for everyone was this Cruiserweight Classic. So we'll talk about the G1 later on. If you want to catch G1 talk, make sure you listen to Rich and Joe on the Voices of Wrestling podcast this week. They'll get into all of that. I want to remind everyone, MacWeldon.com is sponsoring the podcast this week. MacWeldon.com for the best in men's basics, shirts, underwear, socks, hoodies, anything that you could want as a man going out there into the world. Joe Lanza wears it on dates. Great for him. MacWeldon.com. You can save right now 20% off your first order by using the code VOW. That's code VOW. Save 20% right now at MacWeldon.com. I appreciate them and want to thank them for sponsoring the podcast this week. Randy Orton and Brock Lesnar, I'm really looking forward to that match. I really am. I'm really looking forward to it. We also got Callum via direct message. Callum at Shake Them Ropes is the Twitter feed. You can message or tweet at us. He wants us to talk about Paul Heyman offering Will Ospreay an Evolve contract. Paul Heyman was over doing a speaking tour in the UK at, I believe, Summer Sizzler, I think, was the show that they were both around for. Will Ospreay was hand-delivered an Evolve contract on behalf of Gabe Sapolsky by Paul Heyman. Will Ospreay, obviously probably coming back to Evolve for a show here and there whenever his New Japan commitments allow. He's able to work Evolve. He can work New Japan and still work Evolve. He doesn't have to work a Ring of Honor show, and a little bit different deal there. So I would expect to see Will Ospreay back in Evolve for a show here and there. Not as any type of regular, just because it looks like he's really going to be gung-ho on not only his local shows there in the UK, but also New Japan Pro Wrestling. But it was a cool concept. It definitely got PR for Evolve. It got PR for Will Ospreay. It was a pretty big deal. Paul Heyman's obviously a pretty big name on the interwebs, if you will. So that was a really cool moment. I think it was cool. Doesn't mean anything, no, because he was probably coming back to Evolve anyway. But I do like that they did something somewhat interesting there. Last question or last chance. I think we're going to close the phone lines. And in fact, I am going to close the phone lines. I want to thank everyone who called in because that was really awesome of everyone who was able to call in there. I did not expect, the goal last time we did this was 3 calls, and we got those 3. The goal this time is probably the same because we haven't done this regularly, but we had a phenomenal response. So I want to thank everyone who called in to the show today. I want to thank everyone who is watching live on the Voices of Wrestling YouTube. Be sure to hit that thumbs up like button. Share this with others. Just because it's not live after the show doesn't mean people can't watch it. You can go in and watch it. We talked about Johnny Gargano leaving Evolve, leaving the independent scene on September 11th in Queens, New York. If you're in the Queens, New York area, they will announce a show in Queens, New York, September 11th, the Johnny Gargano farewell. Probably likely, I would assume he's going to WWE full time. I only confirmed the one side of that, but I would assume that means he's going to WWE full time. Predictions for Raw and SmackDown GM. We'll talk more about it tonight on Shake Them Ropes. Go follow us at Shake Them Ropes on Twitter. You can get our show on iTunes, Stitcher, TuneIn Radio, Downcast, Google Play, everywhere. Just search your favorite podcast platform for Shake Them Ropes. If you want to help us out, leave us a comment on our iTunes channel. That is bit.ly/STR iTunes. Bit.ly/STR iTunes. YouTube him. Who are we YouTubing, Sean? TJ Perkins, I think. TJ Perkins is another name. There's a lot of cool names in this deal here. Watch the YouTube Osprey Moves one. That says it all. Yes. Will Ospreay, obviously a big time player. This guy's going to be a phenomenal name in the independents, kind of like what Ricochet has been for the last several years. I think Will Ospreay, especially in this age, might even surpass that a little bit. But we'll have to wait and see. Well, the other topics I had listed, Moose, we talked about debuting. We talked about Johnny Gargano. Raw and SmackDown GMs. I mean, it looks likely that Daniel Bryan is going to be the SmackDown GM, or at least a GM on one of the 2 shows. Eric Bischoff canceled a Sunday booking. A lot of people talking about Eric Bischoff maybe coming in. I would not be surprised at all if Eric Bischoff is on Raw this week. I don't think he'll end up being one of the GMs. There's going to be a red herring there. There's going to be some former GM that shows up, and maybe all of them show up. Maybe this is like Raw 1000, where all of Heath Slater's opponents all showed up at once to beat him up. All these former Raw GMs are going to show up. All these former SmackDown GMs could show up, but one will be picked. And who Stephanie picks? Is Triple H too big of a name to be the SmackDown GM? I mean, he's the COO of the company. Is he above being a GM? I mean, obviously that would give the authority full power on Raw, but I don't necessarily know if giving him a GM title on, even if it's on just TV, is big enough for Triple H. So we could see maybe 2 former wrestlers. Maybe another former wrestler is going to come back and be the figurehead of television. You never know. But we'll talk about more of these WWE and NXT topics on Shake Them Ropes tonight. We are releasing it after the Cruiserweight Classic, so we're going to have all of our fresh takes on the Cruiserweight Classic and tonight's NXT episode on tonight's Shake Them Ropes, which you can follow us on Twitter at Shake Them Ropes. Any predictions on the NXT tapings tonight? No, I don't really know. I mean, we still got 2 more tapings in between now and the takeover, so what's going to happen on the tapings tonight? I have no idea. No idea. And we'll wait and see what happens. Really, if something big happens, maybe we'll talk about it on Shake Them Ropes tonight. I want to thank everyone who tweeted at us. I want to thank everyone who called in. A lot of different news topics today. We'll try to do more of these shows in selfish self-promote, not selfless. Selfish self-promotion here. Shameless, maybe, self-promotion. I have a donate link. If you want to see more of these shows, I don't do the Patreon. I don't do the Kickstarter. I don't do all these things. If you appreciate us doing the shows and want to help be a part of getting more of these on, we don't ask for money. We don't make you pay for anything, but I do have a donate link, paypal.me/Rob McCarron. If you appreciate these call-in shows and want to see more of them, if you appreciate Shake Them Ropes, which again is free of charge. We have a couple of sponsors here and there, but there's no cost for any of the stuff that we do. PayPal.me/Rob McCarron. Leave me a note. I'll give you a shout out on one of these future shows, or I'll give you a shout out on the podcast on Shake Them Ropes. Whatever you want to say there, give me a note. But I do have a donate link in the podcast description, PayPal.me/Rob McCarron. Any donation is very appreciated, and you will get a personal thanks from me either live on air or in a private email if you so prefer. But make sure if you donate, leave a note so I know who it's coming from. I think that is going to be it for this episode of VOW Live. Catch me on Twitter at Shake Them Ropes. If you have questions, comments, if you're watching this video on demand and still have a question or comment, leave a comment on the YouTube page or hit me up on Twitter at Shake Them Ropes. Thanks everybody for watching today. I really do appreciate all the response that we got in this one. and we will see you next time on the Voices of Wrestling YouTube.